This is Cliff Matias. I'm the international president of RedRum Motorcycle Club, and I'm here chatting with Stacks.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today I got Cliff. What's up, man?
What's happening, man?
How you doing?
Hanging in there, navigating life like we all are, and trying to do it in a positive, constructive way.
We've been trying to do this for a long time.
I know, man. I know you hit me up like last December, and I just been traveling so much, and everyone and everything is important to me. I hate that thing like, oh, I've been so busy. We're all busy. We all have things going on in our lives. So, I don't think my busy is any more important than anyone else's. But in my defense, I did miss it on the TikTok message. So because I'm not on there so often. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
nonetheless, we're here, right?
Yeah, you got a lot of things going on. I see you all over the place. Seen you in Sturgis. I see you over here. You're traveling over here.
Yeah, listen, right now, trying to get the club established internationally is a big deal, and so we do things the right way, and just like every club you see on social media, people are like, oh, these are buy-in patches, or they mail order patches, or they're I often tell guys, try and join and see what happens. You know what I mean? Try and join and see how long you hang around and prospect, and then we have a process like every other credible club. I say this: if you're the foundation of what you build, right? The building is based on the foundation. And so if you build a house on a shitty foundation, that's exactly what you end up is a shitty house, right? So we try to have the best foundation as possible. Meet guys, especially overseas guys, go and meet them, sit with them. There's a vetting process. And often it means a lot of the leadership is traveling. I mean, a lot of our budget ends up traveling and just trying to grow the club and meet guys and just do it the right way, make sure we have good brothers. Sometimes it happens, we go fly somewhere, there's supposed to be 10 guys and we come back and we have one guy there who's good, and we tell him, hey, you know what, you got to rethink this, and go find, because the other dudes just didn't fit. So that's all part of the traveling. It's all part of trying to build a solid foundation.
Yeah, and with all the people that you've dealt with and all the people that have come to your club, people slip through the cracks here and there, right?
Oh man, people really do. There was and that was probably the one of the great things about us, switching from the diamond to the arrowhead, right? It allowed us to get rid of quite a few guys that really were in this for the wrong reasons. Not that their reasons were bad. They just for somewhere along the line they just got an idea that they were joining a diamond, sort of 1% club, so that definitely, you know. I always say that people will end up where they're supposed to be, and if they end up here, the club has a unique way of getting rid of people who shouldn't be here. I always feel like the club has such a special blessing, and those who were supposed to be here end up here. Guys who were supposed to be in other places, they end up in other places, and God bless them. Not every club is for everyone.
Like we were talking the other day, and we were talking about Baca and
Right.
the members that have been caught doing some weirdo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if someone's joining your club and then you find out weirdo things about them? Is it
Well,
immediate action?
right. I mean, we have, I guess we have that going on, right? Yeah. You have some guys that slip through the cracks, and next thing you know, you find out that abused children, or they had some sort of sex crime. And there are guys who, although we go through the process of trying to figure, know everything about them, right, and check them out, as they say in club life. Dudes slip through the patches. And same thing, like Baka's a, they're a solid mission, man. I fully believe in the things that they do and the work that they do. I think it's a great club. We could use our motorcycles for a lot of things. They use their motorcycles to protect children, and that's great, right? But there are guys who will slip through the cracks of everything. Even the most famous clubs have had guys slip through the cracks. So it does happen. We have it, and when that happens, sometimes you could see what a guy is made out of, and then all of a sudden, they lose their minds and they're it's just yeah, man, it is what it is. But thank goodness, with technology today, it's very easy for you to just go on Google, maybe do an advanced search, or even pay a few dollars, and you could find out anything about anyone, especially if they've had child predatory or abusive charges.
Yeah. What about police? Do police try to infiltrate your club?
I mean, we're a chill club. I mean, they're wasting their money. I mean, we've had a few instances, um, uh, with something like that we suspected. But I mean, I think maybe in the very early days, because we're on reservations, and there's that concern with tobacco and selling, cigarettes and all that stuff. And I think in the
Alcohol, right?
very early days, like, of the club, when we first started expanding, there was some buzz around. But yeah, we don't do anything. Our whole existence is really based on serving the community and doing good work, and none of it's really worth uh, catching a charge for something like that.
When clubs first are created or they're in certain areas, a diamond club will come to them and say, "We want you to be a support club for us." Have you guys ever had that situation happen?
Well, listen, we started in New York City, in Brooklyn, New York, which is, in my journeys, New York City is and I've been all over, and I've sat down with clubs all over, and I would say it is just made up of the hardest old school. I'm talking about 20 years ago. I don't really, know the terrain that much anymore. I don't know how much it's changed or not, but I can tell you, 20 years ago, this place was just made up of the most rugged dudes. And if you wanted to do a club and you wanted to be here, man, you just had to have a rugged group of guys. Our club was, based on that, but we came from a rugged group of guys too, because Legion of Doom was no joke. And although they're not a diamond club and they're not considered an outlaw club, there were some rugged dudes. So we were part of that ruggedness that came over and started RedRum Crew. We were the RedRum Crew of Legion of Doom. And they're all good guys now, and everybody's doing their thing. But it was just a New York-based club. It's your existence here, man. You got to be a rugged dude if you're gonna navigate the streets of New York City on a bike, on a bicycle, whatever you're doing. That's how
Yeah.
New York was. That's how Brooklyn, the Bronx. Man, there are places in the Bronx that, even I remember as a kid in my street gang life, like one of our dudes got like jacked up in the Bronx, and we all were like talking. I mean, we gotta go. And my thing was, you know what, bro, you learned the lesson. Don't fuck around in the
Yeah.
Bronx. Like, you ain't going out and gutting on a
Yeah.
subway and going up to the Bronx. You crazy?
To
It's just
their turf.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's how it is, man. Yeah, New York is, look, New York is the creation of hip hop, based on gangs and the street life. I mean, hip hop came from the gangs, the Puerto Rican and black gangs of New York City. And that's where hip hop got started. It got started from the street gangs, and the block parties and all that. So, yeah, man, New York, definitely, in the old days, me as a kid, and I'm a lot older than what people think I am. I was running around the streets in the 70s, in this, the 80s, the 90s. And so, even as a young kid in the late 60s, I mean, I was a little kid, but we were little kids who were getting in trouble. So
It was a different time back then.
yeah, man, a really different time. My dad, and I talk about this sometimes too. So my dad was the leader of the Zorros, which was the gang of Puerto Ricans uh, in that part of New York, in West Side Story, and that was called San Juan Hill. And the only Puerto Rican gang there was my dad's gang, the Zorros. So that story is like loosely based on the gang fights. And actually, if you watch the new Steven Spielberg episode of that, or the movie of it, right? Steven Spielberg really dug into it, and there's a fight in the schoolyard where the Italian and Irish guys and Polish guys came into San Juan Hill, and they spray painted the Puerto Rican flag in the schoolyard, and there was a huge gang fight. And that's a real gang fight, like that really happened. That's a true story. My dad was there. But street gangs were different. Like my dad's street gang was about like protecting the neighborhood, and they'd have
Yeah.
dances and the dances, like there's a dance scene in that, and even the original West Side Story, the dance scene, and the churches had dances, and the gangs would sponsor these dances in their churches. The only difference was, the gangs didn't all go to one dance. The Italian guys had their dances, and then the Puerto Rican dudes had their dances. But yeah, man, it was, so my dad was growing up. My dad was probably like one of the toughest dudes I ever met, and so it made it, and me and my two other brothers, we'd get my dad would come in the room like smoking Joe Frazier, bobbing and weaving. We were bad. We didn't get abused. We were bad. The three of us were just bad kids. Not bad at like stealing and doing malicious things, just getting into kid trouble.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, and my dad's 88, man. He's still a rugged dude. Still 88 years old, smoked cigarettes till he was 60, 3 packs a day, was drunk drinking every night till like 3 years ago, painted cars. He owned a body shop, painted cars with no mask on for like 50
Still
years.
kicking,
And,
right?
and he's still kicking. He just got out of the hospital now. He had a little digestive thing, and his mind is all about it. And he's not, and God bless him, man, just still kicking, like still a tough, you still shake his hand and you still see like he's a tough old man. And I learned a lot from him growing up, and ways of leadership, and so my dad was the founder of that, and lots of different things, growing up, but I grew up in the street. I grew up with street gangs, and then later
Did you have a
on.
leadership position in a street gang when you started getting involved with them?